institutionalized population. Just to run that back again, remembering that there's this Olmstead, 1999 Supreme Court decision, filed a few years after that, in the early 2000s, by a presidential executive order, filed not too far after that by a New York State law, most integrated setting coordinating council, giving this state about a decade, okay, to do state planning for what to do with this state institutionalized population, in terms of, first of all, identifying the number in the different settings, and then what to do in terms of the planning for people to live in the most integrated setting, okay? And then not only is there a quality of life issue involved, because it is, a right, all right, but there's costs involved, all right, and there's other implications, all right, but Todd, did you want to speak about some of the costs that are involved?
There are definitely cost implications, because when you're talking about the institutionalized population, especially now, we're looking at January in Albany, where the budget's going to be the next thing up. It's going to be about how much we're spending. If you look at, and I can just talk about my region as an example in Western New York, Department of Health statistics say that the average cost of a person being in a nursing home is $98,000 per person per year. Think about that for a minute. $98,000 per person per year. When we know, if we tie them together with community services to live at home, they're going to be healthier, they're going to be happier, and it's only going to cost maybe between $25,000 to $30,000. So for every person we get out of a nursing home, that's $50,000 in Medicaid money that we could be reinvesting. And that number increases when you're talking about recipients of mental health services who are in psychiatric institutions, where that number can go over $200,000 per person per year. Now, independent living centers voluntarily have been providing the state education department with cost savings analysis numbers. My center, 1 out of 40 in New York, saved over $60 million last year in serving people and keeping them in the community. But if I take that and compare it to, for example, the independent living budget that the state legislature allocates us, I've saved the state 4 times what the entire state budget for IL is. And I think that makes an important statement about how the needs assessment can lead to reinvestment that can allow us to keep people people with disabilities in the community, my apologies, at a cheaper cost. Because my Niagara's representative will tell you that reinvestment's been very successful for OMH. Closing down high-cost institutions and turning those services into community services that are driven by peers is very cost-effective.
So here we go. Here's this chart about the state institutionalized population that I was talking about. Not only does it have impact in terms of getting people to live, in a more integrated setting, quality of life and cost implications for the state and reinvestment, but there's other implications too. We also do work related to emergency preparedness and evacuation. I've had conversations with Mike Moriarty from FEMA Region 2 and Stephanie Pagata from the State Emergency Management Office and said, hey, have you ever seen this type of data? They certainly know the civilian population, right? They have not seen this kind of data before. They said, this is good and useful data. Because, let's say it's Albany County. There's 3,686 people in institutions. And you can see the different type of institutional settings. If there's an emergency and we need to evacuate, this is good to know. But you know what? Let's make this a little more relevant. Like, Hurricane Sandy. And let's go to Suffolk County. There's 15,481 individuals. We really should know that, because we would need to possibly evacuate those individuals. And it also works another way, because if you have a hurricane like Sandy, and your area gets wiped out, and your housing stock gets depleted, you may not even be in an institution, and you might be a person with a disability or elderly living in an area, and you can't go somewhere. Okay, and they may actually, quote, temporarily assign you to a nursing home or type of facility. So all of a sudden, you may temporarily be, you might live in the Bronx, but whether you realize this or not, they will temporarily put you in some nursing home somewhere else in the state. Okay? And actually, that happened with Katrina, and there were some lawsuits because temporarily can be a long period of time. And unless you have some connection, people can get disconnected and be there for a while. You know, which is okay in a temporary plan, but how temporary is that? So you do have to monitor these numbers. I also have questions because of voting. Yeah, this is